Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. We have a 25-minute mobility yoga flow. So we filmed a class like this a few weeks ago where we worked through traditional yoga postures and some mobility exercises, and we work on a timer. So we have 55 seconds of work and then 5 seconds to transition into the next posture. So this class is perfect for an active rest day or after a shorter intense workout when maybe you have a little bit of extra time that you can dedicate to lengthening and strengthening basically your entire body, head to toe. So we're going to go ahead and get started on our backs with our knees bent, and we're just going to come into some windshield wipers. I like to bring my feet about mat width distance apart and then just gently let my knees fall from side to side. So think about lengthening your front ribs down and in towards one another. That's a theme, if you will, that we're going to come back to throughout this flow today. So the purpose of this class is just to feel good, really. It's to give back to yourself, to take some quiet, reflective time to breathe. Exhaling as the knees gently fall down towards the side, inhaling through center. And then go ahead and hug those knees into the chest for just a moment. We're going to come into a gentle twist, so the knees come over to the left, the arms are out like a T. And then I'm going to come into some arm circles with my right arm. Oops, I need to move down a little bit. I have a little collision with the basket, so just gently drawing that arm out, down towards the hip, and then back up again, towards the ceiling, towards the head. And doing your best to keep that shoulder connected to the mat. Taking slow, steady inhales, filling up the belly. Slow, steady exhales. Carefully come back to center, neutral spine, and then we're going to switch it out. So the knees are going to come to the right. That left arm is extended out to the side, and then I'm just going to bring it up towards my head. And as I bring it up towards my head, the back of my hand is on the mat. And then I'm going to bring it down, and as I come back through center, the palm comes down to the mat at about shoulder height. And then I'm going to bring the hand down to about hip height. And then slowly circle it back up towards shoulder height. Flip the palm up towards the ceiling so the back of the hand is on the mat. And then extend the arm up towards the ear. And then just continuing here. Some good shoulder mobility. And then coming back to that neutral spine, hugging the knees in. We're going to come into a dead bug hold. So bend your knees. They're parallel to the mat. I'm bringing my palms to my knees. Draw those front ribs in and down. Pull your belly button back and press your palms into your knees and your knees into your palms. Relax your shoulders away from your ears and maintain that connection between the low back and the mat. And I know that if you're just looking at this, it doesn't seem like much, but when you're in this pose, you can really begin to feel that core activate. And as you exhale, you really engage the core. The pelvic floor lifts, the top ribs draw down, and everything contracts. And we want to do our best to keep that with our inhale, and then just exaggerate it with the exhale, keeping the low back flat on the mat. All right, we're going to come into some hip bridges. So bring the soles of your feet to the mat, knees bent, palms down on the mat. Press all four corners of the feet into the mat. Lift the hips, squeeze the glutes, and then slowly lower one vertebra at a time until the tailbone comes down to the mat. Exhale, press into the feet, squeeze the glutes, lift the fronts of the hips. And then inhale, articulate that spine, rolling down one vertebra at a time. And as you exhale and come into that lift, again, the pelvic floor lifts, the front ribs knit in towards one another, and think about hugging the inner knees and the inner thighs in towards one another. All right, this time we're going to come into a dead bug flow. So tabletop the knees, bring your right arm and your left leg to hover above the mat. Come back through center. You're going to bring that left palm to the right, or the right palm to the left knee, and extend opposite arm and leg. So pressing knee into palm, palm into knee, as you extend the opposite arm and leg. Focusing on the low back connection to the mat here. So really hug that low back onto the mat. Inhaling through center, and then exhaling as you extend opposite arm and leg and press opposite palm into knee. And you can really exaggerate those breaths, right? Blow out those birthday candles with the exhale. Okay, this time we're going to come into a marching bridge. So soles of the feet to the mat. Press into all four corners of each foot, and then lift the right foot away from the mat as you draw the knee in towards your chest. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. So squeezing the buns, keeping the low back safe here. Think about lifting those hip points towards the ceiling. And we're still squeezing those inner thighs in towards one another, even as we lift. All right, big transition here. Hug the knees in, rock and roll. We're going to come into a plank pose. Shoulders over wrists, hug the buns, press through the heels, and then lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Inhale forward to that plank. Draw those front ribs in and down. Pubic bone tilts up towards the nose. And then back to downward facing dog. Just flowing here. Inhale forward. And exhale, use your core strength to lift those hips up and back. Weight travels back towards the heels. Inhale to plank. Imagine you're pulling your palms towards your toes, toes towards your palms, and then downward facing dog. Really awakening the backside body here, stretching into the calves, lengthening along the entire torso. Come down onto your hands and knees, stacking shoulders over wrists. We're going to come into some hip cars, so controlled, articulated rotations, drawing that right knee towards the right elbow, lifting it out to the side like a dog peeing on a hydrant, and then pressing the heel up towards the sky as you squeeze the glute. Bring it back in, knee towards elbow. Extend the knee out towards the right side, stays in line with the hip, and then press through the right heel as you bring the knee back behind you. Exhale, engage your core, draw the knee in towards the elbow, open it up towards the side, and then squeeze the glute as you lift the hip behind you. So really working into our arms here as well. So gazing about 6 inches in front of your fingers. We're going to take that in the opposite direction. So beginning to press the heel up towards the ceiling, Then the knee extends out towards the right, and then bring it in towards the elbow. Exhale as you squeeze that right glute, lift the heel. Draw the knee out towards the side in that hydrant move, and then knee in towards the elbow, and then circle it back. So great for hip mobility, hip strength. And you flow with your own breath, your own pace. My right arm is really starting to get tired because I'm keeping myself from peeling open. Okay, we're gonna come into a lizard. So if you have those blocks close by, go ahead and grab them. Right foot to the outside of the right hand. And then we're gonna come into some cat-cow moves here. So drop your belly, lift your chest, lift your gaze, and then exhale, begin to straighten into that right leg. Cat, the upper back, and then again, inhale, bend the elbows, bend the back knee, cow pose, and then exhale, cat, press it all away. Inhale, cow, open up the chest. And then exhale, press the ground away, straighten into the leg. Oh, it feels so good in that hamstring. Inhale, cow pose. And exhale, tuck down and curl. All right, coming back to all fours. We're going to do those hip cars on the left. I am going to turn so you can see my left side. So left knee in towards the elbow. Hip opens to the side, circle it back, press through the heel, draw the knee back in towards the elbow, opening up towards the side, pressing the heel up towards the ceiling, and then drawing the knee in. And then notice that I'm not opening my body out to the left, it's only my knee that's opening out to the left. Focusing all of your attention on that left hip. Continuing to keep the belly button pulled back in and up, and those front ribs knitted down. Okay, we're going to switch directions. My left arm's starting to get a little tired. I can feel it in the bicep, pressing up and back into that donkey kick, circling the knee around into the hydrant. Knee comes in towards the elbow, and then begin the circle again. So isolating that hip. You can do these standing as well. It's a little bit more difficult. And just focusing on the breath, focusing on the movement, and keeping that core nice and engaged the entire time. All right, coming into that lizard cat-cow on the left. So bring the hands to the inside of the left foot. Step the right leg back. Knee can be on the ground or it can be lifted. Drop your belly, lift your gaze, cow pose, and then exhale, cat, as you straighten into that left leg. Inhale, shift it forward, open up the chest, and then exhale, flex through the spine. Inhale as you draw your chest forward, lengthen your waist out of your hips, and then exhale, flex it back, tuck, rounding curl, coming into that cat variation. All right, go ahead and move those blocks off to the side. Come into a high plank, and we're going to do some step ups. So I'm going to step my right foot up, my left foot up. Ground through all four corners of my feet and come up to stand. Squat back down, plant the palms. I'm going to step the left foot back, step the right foot back, and then step the left foot forward, right foot forward, and come up to stand. Hinge at the hips, squat down, step back into plank, and then step back up into those squats. And you can begin to move faster here, the warmer you get. All right, we're gonna come into a standing pose here, feet hip-width distance apart, good mornings. So hinging at the hips, sticking the butt way back, bringing the chest parallel to the mat, and then squeezing the glutes to come up to stand. So really wakening up the back body here and the core. All right, we're going to take a big step back with the left foot, coming into a warrior two pose here. So heel to arch alignment, keeping that right knee open. We're going to inhale the arms overhead, straighten the right leg, and then exhale, create a W with the upper body as we bend back into the right knee. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend. So as you use that inner thigh to straighten the leg, think about the tailbone still drawing down towards the mat. And then squeezing those elbows, hugging them into your side to really awaken that upper back body. Okay, before we go to the other side, we're going to windmill the palms down to the mat. Step back into a plank. Inhale, shift forward from your knees or your toes, chaturanga, elbows bend 90 degrees, chest hovers. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to flow through that. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga from your knees or your toes. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, open up that chest, find that back bend, and exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Go ahead and step your feet up behind your hands, and then slowly come up to stand, one vertebra at a time. We're going to flow through some sun salutations. Inhale the arms up, and exhale, hinge from the hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen, plant the palms on the shins or on the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise, tall mountain, staying nice and active in the legs, pulling the inner thighs up towards the mid-body. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, powerful legs, lengthening the entire body. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen. Come up to stand. And this time we're going to step the right leg back, coming into warrior two. on the left, so stacking shoulders over hips. Extend the arms out, shoulder height, palms facing down. Come up with that right or left leg rather straight. And then as we exhale, we're gonna bend into the knee and we're gonna row the elbows back. Inhale as the arms extend, shoulder height, leg straightens. Exhale, bend and hug the elbows back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hug it back. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, hug it back. Inhale, straighten, lengthen the arms. All right, go ahead and windmill the palms down to the mat. We're gonna come back into a high plank pose to downward facing dog. Just flowing here. Inhale, back to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Maybe hanging out in the downward facing dog, taking a few petals if that feels good, and just finding your flow. Inhale to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, coming down onto our knees and then onto our buns. We're going to come into a seated figure four. So the left foot stays flat on the mat. The right knee is going to cross at the left, or the right ankle rather, at the left knee. And you can sit here, or if you have a little bit more space, you can crawl your hips forward towards that heel, feeling that nice opening in the outer right hip, and just continue to lengthen your chest. So your palms can be facing back, or with your fingertips facing the back of the mat, or you can have your fingertips facing the front of the mat. If they face the back of the mat, you find that external rotation in the shoulders, and it's a nice chest opener, sort of like an upward facing dog here in the chest. And then we're going to go ahead and extend the left leg, keep the right knee bent, sole of the right foot is on the outside of the left knee, both buns on the mat. You're going to find a little hug of that right knee with the left elbow. Sit up nice and straight and tall. Bring the right palm to the base of the spine and gaze out towards the right or back over the right shoulder if that feels good. Just coming into this twist. Twisting poses are good for our digestion. They're good for our low back. Just feels good in general. And then slow your breath. Mouth can be open or closed, just filling with air and down into the belly with the inhale, and then a controlled, powerful exhale. All right, I'm going to switch that, coming into that figure four on the left. So crossing the left ankle at the front of the right knee. And then again, you can flip the palms to face the back of the mat if that feels good. So externally rotating the heads of the shoulders, the fronts of the shoulders open. And then depending on how much space you have in that hip, you can walk your buns, you can scooch them towards that heel, and then imagine there's a string lifting your chest up towards the ceiling. Slow, steady breaths. All right, we're going to come into that twist. So lengthen the right leg long. Bring the sole of the left foot to the mat on the outside of the right knee. Hug your right elbow to the left knee, and then bring your left palm to the base of your spine. Sit up nice and straight tall. And it doesn't have to be right at the base of your spine. It can be back a little ways depending on what feels best for your shoulder. And then I want you to think about peeling those left ribs open as the right ribs begin to come towards the left. And then your gaze is either out towards the left or back over that left shoulder. Slowing the breath here. And then go ahead and come back to center. Bend your knees, extend your arms, and we're going to slowly roll back one vertebra at a time, hugging your knees into your chest. Maybe rock from side to side. If you'd like to come into Shavasana, you can come into Shavasana here. If you're done, thank you for practicing with me. I will see you back here next time. We release a beginner appropriate video every Monday, a high intensity workout on Tuesdays, and a yoga flow on Fridays. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Until next time, keep moving, stay safe, and I will see you again soon.